That is super to hear that. What's even more super is for the second straight day, maybe my ultimate sweetheart is rekindling that ember that occurs in the heart. Sweetheart, how are you this morning?
Darling, am I going to interrupt your conversation if I call you?
Heavens, no, you're not interrupting. Sweetheart, you would never interrupt.
Well, because you guys, honest, it's like listening to the Father and the Son and the holy crap over there. Because I tell you what, and Mr. Heim has turned my life. I met with him one day about my financial status, and he said, first of all, sew a hole up in the toe of my sock where I'm collecting my coins. He said, only save the shiny coins. Don't keep the little brown ones. And so I've been doing that, and I can afford to go to the store now and stand in the express lane, and he knows so much about football. And, of course, then I got Elmtree over there who's just like everybody's heartthrob, Maxine. I don't think she's going to make it to glory with her thoughts about Elmtree, so I don't know. But anyway, I just love hearing you guys back because it reminds me of the way I think things used to be, but anymore I'm not sure what that means. Here's my advice for COVID treatment. Don't eat green bologna. Use that same mentality with the COVID and you'll be okay.
Of course. Good gracious.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Well, sweetheart, is everything else going okay for you?
Well, so far it is. I think I'm outside now trying to get all the leaves picked up, We have 5 little doggies here in the house, and they eat 5 pounds of dog food, and I pick up 25 pounds of dog food. And I said I'm going to start feeding them dollar bills. So anyway, that's all I better say because I think I have ceased preaching and started meddling. So just good to hear you 3 back, and thank God for consistency because, man, what will we... And, one other thing for us old people, remember the sticky side down on all of the garments. So I'll talk to you later, dear.
Hugs and kisses, Aunt Martha. Thank you. There is certainly a very familiar theme, being a little bit older than you, Dennis, that has resonated with me for 54 years now, but be that as it may. Welcome back to the Sports Reporters, and thank you for joining us. Ned Reynolds joined by...
Dennis Heim.
Dennis Heim.
Heim, Young & Associates.
That's much better.
Okay.
But also the Bears broadcaster, along with Art Haynes. One of the protocols for the Bears game on Saturday night is nobody other than the team and, of course, the Lions crew and officials. Nobody's allowed on the field. Well, that's where I watch the games, from the field. Ain't going to happen on Saturday night, is it? Could it maybe get Coach Petrino to help us out? Hey, Coach, can you put a waiver in or something like that to let one member of the media down there on the field?
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. It's out of my hands.
Bobby Petrino is kind enough to visit with us here for a few minutes. Dennis Heim is with us, and Dennis has been to all the games and has espoused a great theory. He thinks this team is really getting better now. Does Coach Petrino agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think that we are improving and getting better. And, the last 2 weeks leading up to this week of our preparation were good for us. We were able to go back and do some what I call camp drills that you do in preseason camp that some of our guys missed because they weren't at practice or, were out for a week and in quarantine. So I thought it was really good for us. We had just about the entire team at every single practice, and I think we definitely got better. There's no question about it. I also think Central Arkansas got better when you watch their games. They got to play games, so they played North Dakota State and Arkansas State. Their offense was more consistent and moved the ball, and defensively they're a good football team.
Bobby, whenever we take a look at the North Dakota State game, here you've got the team up there that this area is very familiar with because the Bears have played them for a long time and they're national champs for 9 years, I believe, in the last 10. They were losing the ball game to Central Arkansas going into the fourth quarter, and so that really gives our fans here, I think, an opportunity to see just how tough this Central Arkansas team is. Their quarterback seems to have been making some progress. He seems like a dual threat. What's the game plan to try to deal with him?
Yeah, we have to mix it up like we did the last time we played him, between when we play certain coverage looks, when we bring pressure. We did a good job last time we played him of putting pressure on him and bringing different guys. And and they were able to do a good job of hitting him and sacking him and putting pressure on him, not being able to hold the ball and see the things. He likes to throw the ball deep downfield, and we had a good job. We did a really good job of coverage. Jeremy Webb did a really good job on their number one receiver. Since that time, they've developed another receiver who's had 2 big games for them, so that's going to make it a little bit harder for us. We're going to have to be able to defend both outside receivers.
This circumstance never having happened before, Coach, may be something that you can't address. But here you're going into a game after having, a 2 or 3 week layoff, after having had another layoff and no spring drills. How do you handle a team that's on a limited basis like this? How do you coach them, and what do you say?
Well, I think that without spring ball, that it's actually been good for us to have those breaks and be able to work on what we need to improve on, and get more familiar with our schemes. That's the biggest thing when we miss spring ball is you go through that, and then you get summertime to work back on what you didn't do well in spring, and then you build on it in fall. Everything's new to all our guys right now, and it's always the first reps. And defensively, we're ahead of the offense as far as being able to pick it up and play fast and do things right. Offensively, I think we're learning it. Now we have to learn how to play fast and react and do things without thinking and get all 11 guys working together. So we've tried to limit a little bit what we've been doing and to really focus on what we think will help us win this game. And I know we've gotten better in that in the last 3 weeks.
Well, in 2021, your spring season will be the season. Will you, Will you coach the team any differently? Will your approach be different? And how will it affect you for the rest of 2021?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've never been through this before. There's no doubt about that. But after this game on Saturday, we're going to take 2 weeks off because of the rules. So our players will get a 2-week break of having to do anything. I'm sure some of them will voluntarily go in and lift weights and want to be around and doing stuff like that. But we actually can't require them to do anything. Then we'll have the month of November basically to train, and another little short period of time in December. Then we'll have Christmas break, come back in the January 11th and start preseason practice. How weird does that sound? And it's going to be a little bit different than the other preseason practices where you're trying to acclimatize to the heat. We're going to be acclimatizing to the snow and cold. So that'll be interesting to think.
Fortunately, the game with North Dakota, who is just north of North Dakota State, which is in North Dakota State's in Fargo. We're in is it Grand Forks? Grand Forks up which is about 50 miles from the Canadian border. Fortunately, they play inside. That game's going to take place February 20th, and that's one of the questions I had, coaches. Are you going to be able to start practice and preparation as soon as you come back to school next semester?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll have 2 weeks where it'll be like an extended off-season period where you actually get the number of hours to be able to do 6 hours a week of walkthrough, 6 hours a week of meetings, and then the regular 8 hours of training. So it's an extra, few hours in that period. We'll do that for 2 weeks, and then you'll have a normal preseason practice period where you can have 25 practices prior to your first game. You have to get that done within 29 days. So that would be similar. The challenge for us is going to be how to handle the weather and the wind and without an indoor practice facility, and where we're going to go if we can't practice outside. So that'll certainly be one challenge for us. I think that the conference tried to set it up so that, in February and the early part of March, they were playing indoor games or as far south as they can. We might be declared as one of the warm weather schools as far south.
Not a lot of conferences where that would be the case. So, Coach, as you look at the evaluation of the team and things along that line, what are some of the strong suits you feel that you've got as you take a look at the team on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I think, defensively that we've played well for 6 quarters. Our front is very sturdy. They play hard. They're fast. We can rush the quarterback in a 4-man rushing scheme. And our linebackers are really doing a good job. Wiltz is a guy that's played really well. Farron has come in as our middle linebacker, and his ability to see things and run and hit, tackle has really helped us. It allows us to have some freedom to play coverage as well as pressure. Secondary's been doing really well. I think Zach Sanders at the nickel spot and corner when we're in base is a very, very good football player. Jeremy Webb's been able to go one-on-one, and that frees us up to do some different things also with our coverage. So, like I said, they're ahead of the offense. They played well enough against Central Arkansas last time to give us an opportunity to win the game. Offensively, we're just so young. You know, our quarterback's a freshman. We played with 2 freshman receivers in that game, and everything's new. So we must improve. We must improve on the offensive front and as a total offense in our pass protection. And what I mean by that is getting the ball out on time, the receivers being where they need to be on time, and the O-line blocking and understanding the movements and schemes that we're seeing.
Because it didn't happen on a consistent basis, certainly not against Oklahoma, did you see some improvement when you played Central Arkansas down in Conway in those very items that you were just talking about?
Yeah, you see some things that flash at you that, man, we can be really good when we get this all put together, but we're just not consistent. And that's what offense is all about, is being consistent, being able to drive the ball and move the ball and make big plays. We made some big plays against Central Arkansas, and, Latulis did a really good job for us, catching the ball out of the backfield and running with the ball. We weren't able to get the deep throws that we want to get and must have, because you're not always going to be able to drive it. You need some chunk plays, and we got chunk plays to the running back coming out of the backfield, and Jaden did a good job of throwing hot a few times and side adjusting a couple times, but we had negative plays. We can get rid of the negative plays, whether that's sacks or miscues or penalties, then we have a lot better chance to be consistent and drive the ball and put it in the end zone.
Coach Bobby Petrino visiting with us prior to the Bears game with Central Arkansas on Saturday night. Dennis was making reference to the climate and having to go up to North Dakota. It is indoors, but it's still going to be cold. When you were out at Idaho coaching out there, did you run into extreme weather conditions? And if so, how did the players react to any of that?
Yeah, we had some good weather games, mostly when we went to my home state of Montana. Went and played the Bobcats or the Grizzlies, and sometimes it was rain, sometimes it was snow, and players really look, they don't have a problem with playing on game day and that. They're excited, they focus. Obviously, it changes some of the things you can do with the wind, and that could be a factor Saturday night. There's going to be some wind blowing on Saturday night, so our kicking game and how we handle it when we're going into the wind is really important to us. But players get excited, and they don't have an issue with game day playing in weather like that. It's getting the type of practice you need to improve and on your timing and, being able to practice in bad weather and still working on your timing and doing the things you need to do so you can execute on game day that becomes an issue.
With you being behind the 8 ball when it came to the number of practices you were able to have because spring ball was not part of the scenario, it seemed like you were working your way up to getting into full contact, which you'd need to do once in a while in practice. Are you in a situation where you're doing some of that in preparation for this game as well?
We did. The 2 weeks prior to this game week, we had 2 days where it was live tackle, and it was really good for us. We learned about players, we saw different things. A couple guys stood out who tackled really well. It made some plays running after the catch, which we need and must improve on. I think eventually we're going to be good at that, but the guys doing it were freshmen, and they have to improve on it. But to be able to go live and do that a couple times in between the 2 games, I think really was beneficial for us.
Coach Petrino, you're in your protocol in coaching the team 48 hours before the game, which is where we are right now. What do you do? How do you get these kids ready?
Keep getting better. I used to work for a guy who used to always say after Thursday's practice, the hay's in the barn. But I don't really believe that. We're going to try to keep getting better until kickoff. So we'll go out today, and today will be a short, crisp practice. We want everything to go right and work hard on the 4 phases of special teams. And then basically your red zone offense and defense and coming out and third downs. That's really the emphasis of today. Tomorrow we'll have good meetings, and then we'll have a walkthrough tomorrow where we continue to try to focus and get ready to go. Tomorrow night we'll have special teams meeting, and really, focus in on special teams. When we get up on Saturday morning, we'll have a little breakfast and then go do another walkthrough on the situations of the game so we can try to work mentally, understanding all the situations and what's going to happen, and give them a little downtime and get ready for kickoff.
Very good. Hey, Bobby, when you take a look at, we talk about it's like a full-time job when you're a collegiate athlete and student athlete and things along that line. I think many of our listeners are unaware of the demands that are placed on these players, and you just kind of gave a overview of some of that right there. But how much film work is involved each day or each week to kind of paint a picture for our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, our guys are very dedicated to be a student athlete, and I think it's that way in all the sports in college athletics anymore. But a typical day for us, particularly on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, would be they get up at 7 a.m., we have position meetings, and we watch video of the day before practice. Then they go to class. They'll get a lift in, a 40-minute lift in the weight room on certain days during the week. Most of them will have study hall and tutor sessions and class. Then they come back at 2:30. We have another position meeting, take the field at 3:15 and practice at 3:30. Generally, we're done between 5:30 and 5:40 with practice. And then some of them have study hall and tutor sessions at night. So mostly as a student athlete from 7 a.m. to about 9 p.m. every day.
Okay, Bobby, this is the final question, then we're going to let you go, and this is way offbeat, completely out of the blue. Is Lamar Jackson the best QB in the NFL?
I don't know about the NFL, but he's certainly the best quarterback I've ever had the opportunity to coach. There's no question about that. And Mark Brunell was really good, too, when I had the opportunity to coach him. I think that Mark, probably everyone didn't realize how great of a runner he was until he hurt his knee. But Lamar's really good. That guy up in Kansas City's pretty good too. They're just all such good football players, and the thing that separates them is not only their athletic ability and their arm strength, but their understanding of the game and how to lead the people around him. That's the thing Lamar was so special about, was he made everybody around him a better player, and everybody around him wanted to work harder and focus more and compete and come out and play well just because of his leadership.
I hope you all heard what Coach Petrino just said. There's more to it than just athletic ability. There is that intrinsic sense of leadership that means so very much. Bobby, thank you very, very much for being with us. We'll see you all Saturday night.